G'day. I figured out something I thought I might like to tell everyone about our favourite brand car. This is a 91 525 Motorsport, and I've got the old difficult to diagnose cooling issue, right? Or had, rather. And I figured it out, I think. Of why this fucking problem is a real pain in the ass to fucking... So anyway, that's the old radiator. It's a big split in it, right? I was running this one in it for a little bit. That came out of that engine there. That's in my trike. So anyway, right. This fucking thing is the heater switch. And what goes on to the heater switch is this motor here, right? Okay. This motor, right? Now, between the water, and that piece there, that goes on top of the motor, right? That bit, right? Now, underneath that bit, to isolate the water from the motor, is this bit, right? Okay. And this one here is actually 26 years old, because that's how long ago 1991 was, right? And that sits in here like that, and it stops the water getting in the motor, right? Now, see, what happens is this part gets a little crack in it, a little crack in the edge, right? And water comes out that crack, right? And because it's a little crack, it's only really slow. And the same amount of air goes in as water goes out, right? And so you get this thing where you got less water and a bit of air in there, and it just happens really slowly. And what I think is this is water, the air, right? You get a bit of air in the around the heater switch here, right, next to this motor, and what happens is, this is my fucking thoughts on it, man. The air sits up there around the heater switch because it's quite high up. It's higher than the radiator. Okay? And it sits up there while the car's off. Water seeps out of it, air sneaks in it, right? So what happens is, and this is only slow, so you don't really think it's a problem. So what happens is this: the air builds up and builds up each time you drive the car, because when you're running it, it pushes the water out, right? And so what happens is the water pressure pushes the air from there round the system to the pump, where the pump will cavitate, and it won't be able to pump the water, and that's why the car overheats. Turn it off, oh my god. And then what the fuck happens is that when you turn it off, the air goes from the pump, because it's uphill, it gravitates back to the heater switch when the car's off, and it makes all the pump and everything gets suspect down this end, right? But actually it only ends up down there because of the water pressure and the cavitation, and then it goes back up to the heater switch when the car's off. And that's why that fucker with a little crack in it causes this mysterious fucking situation, man, that heaps of people can't work out. And even there's a guy over here, shop, BMW specialist place, and he's telling me his stories about even he spent good amounts of time trying to bleed the air out of these systems, and it's just been a fail. And even cars, he's had cars from workshops like garages and things that can't work it out. And one other thing he said is he had a Z3, and he had a Z3 something, and he had the front end way off the ground on a hoist to try and get the air to bleed out, and it was a nightmare. And it's because of this fucking thing, I think, because even under that circumstance, it would still be allowing the air to get in. And so I'm going to go and tell him about this tomorrow and see what he says. But that is in the fucking, it's on top of the motor next to the heater switch. That thing with a little crack in it, okay, there's fucking, yeah, anyway, there you go. I thought I'd say, because this is the first car I've had that's had overheating problems. It's ever developed failure like that. And that's what I found out, and I thought I'd tell you. And it's not only BMW, any cars with that kind of system, with the two solenoids and that kind of switch thing. I know Mercedes has got a similar thing. I've seen Mercedes like that. You want to look into this if you've got some fucking issue with it, because that there is what has failed, and that has been the problem. And having identified this, I actually bypassed the pump. I bypassed the pump out of the circuit, this little pump thing. I bypassed it out of the circuit by going from, I took the hose that was coming out of this one, which goes back into the heater, I think. I plugged it into where that came from. So I took that hose and I plugged it into this, whatever that was on, right? And until I get another one of these fucking things. And so anyway, there you go. Merry fucking Christmas for everyone, because it's been a whole fucking mystery, that one, when it strikes. And I would say that's the problem.